Okay, welcome to the Samsung Epic 4G disassembly digitizer replacement. So let's go ahead and get started. So the tools we're going to be needing: flat screwdriver, Phillips, and a spudger. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and remove your rear casing. Next thing you want to do is remove your battery. What you guys will see is a number of Phillips screws in the back casing. You want to go ahead and remove those. Should be about 7 screws. Again, if you guys are pretty new at this and not familiar with this phone, then you want to make sure you somehow, some way manage your screws where you remember where they go after you remove them. Very important. Very important. Okay, after removing your screws, you want to open the case using your case opening tool. You can use the black spudger like the technician is using here, or you can actually use the guitar pick type spudger, which is my preference. But either one should work effectively. Again, you always want to use plastic on plastic, never metal on plastic. Metal on plastic will damage the casing and will cause your customers to get upset about that. So you just want to find a spot and start working your way around. And you want to lift. You never want to bend. You always want to lift the casing apart. Next thing you want to do is you want to disconnect 3 flex cables. You see one in the top left corner. There's another bigger one on the left side. And last but not least, you have a little small one at the top right. So there's 3 flex cables you want to disconnect. Next, you're going to remove single screws. One single screw, excuse me, at the top right part of the phone on the back. Once you remove that screw, you want to remove the label to access and remove more screws. And you'll find this quite often, that there are always, or not always, but there are a lot of cases where screws are actually hidden or under labels or some type of sticker. So just be aware of that. So you're going to remove these 2 screws. Next thing you want to do is disconnect your antenna. With your phone turned over, this will be on the right side, and it has 2 points of connection. Next thing you want to do is remove your logic board. The next thing you want to do is remove your data board module, which is at the bottom of your phone. So you want to beware of the flex cable underneath the data board module. The module that we just took off, there is a flex cable under that. You want to be sure not to pull it off too hard. Make sure you disconnect before you remove it. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to remove 2 Phillips screws under the logic board. And this should allow you to remove the middle frame. The next thing you're going to see is your plate, your slider plate. And on your slider plate, there are going to be 4 slide plate Phillips screws you're going to remove. All right, so go ahead and remove your keypad, and then you want to remove your slider plate. Make sure you feed your ribbon cable through the slider plate, and what you guys will find in most sliders that the ribbon cable runs through the slider. That's very common, the main ribbon cable. All right, you want to remove more screws, and these are hidden screws, as you guys can see. And when you remove those tabs, you'll see 2 hidden screws and 2 screws that should be not hidden. All right, so you want to remove all 4 of those Phillips screws. And as you see our technician doing, you guys at some time may need to lift out your screws using your tweezers. That happens quite often, actually. And again, it's also great to have a magnetic screwdriver because that helps also. So next thing you want to do is you want to use your flathead screwdriver to open the front casing. Again, it is okay to use a screwdriver metal on plastic. I know I coach you guys always never to use metal on plastic, but if part of the plastic is the part that won't be seen, then you can use it if you feel like you can use it without damaging the unit too much. But any casing that is seeable, you always want to use plastic on plastic. Again, in this particular situation, this is underneath the phone slider, so no one will be able to see any damage that may occur from using a metal tool on a plastic casing. The next thing you want to do is remove the tape. From your ribbon cables. And you guys always want to just hold on to your tape and remember where it goes and put it back when you're done with it. The next thing you want to do is disconnect the 5 ribbon flex cables. Okay, so you'll see exactly where the technician starts, top left, middle left, middle right, and the main flex cable in the middle. So you're going to remove all of your ribbon cables. Next thing you want to do is separate flex from casing using precision blade. Do this very carefully. The flex is adhesive to the casing, so you want to be careful. Anytime you have a precision blade around a flex, you want to be very careful. Anything sharp for that matter. The next thing you want to do is use low heat on a digitizer using a hot air tool. Low heat is about 100 degrees, which if you're using the hot air tool from cellular repair school, that is your lowest setting, 100 degrees. Next thing you want to do is begin to separate your digitizer and your frame, as the technician is doing. Be careful not to burn yourself. And careful not to rip the flex cable when separating. There's a flex cable at the bottom. Again, you guys have to be careful with flex cables. Anytime you're breaking things apart or tearing things apart, sometimes flex cables can hide on you. So it's always good to have a video guide like this, and this is what we try to provide to you guys so you can get a blueprint of exactly what the phone is like coming apart, so you can, which will help you avoid any obstacles or any surprises that you guys might see. So hopefully this helps. Next thing you want to do is remove cable from broken digitizer. So you want to remove this little cable at the bottom if you're changing out the digitizer. If you're putting in the same digitizer, then you can keep this cable, obviously. But if you're going to be using a different digitizer, then this part of the phone actually has to stay with the new digitizer. So you definitely want to remove this part. Again, that's only if you're replacing the digitizer. So the next thing you want to do is you want to begin to add adhesive to your new digitizer, and you're going to make sure you pay attention to where exactly the technician is placing the new adhesive and how big each strip is. I'm going to continue to add adhesive. So this is the 1/4 inch adhesive. As you guys can see, it's pre-cut. It's very thin. So you guys, if you have this size, by all means use it. If you don't have this size, then you need to cut to make this size. It's important that this particular phone have the side adhesive. Continue to prep your digitizer with your new adhesive. Next, you're going to remove the top layer of adhesive with tape on all of your tape. So you just want to remove the top covering of all of your adhesive tape. And using tweezers are great for doing this, especially on the thin strips. So the next thing we want to do is we want to insert the small flex that we removed from the previous digitizer into the hole and insert it on the board as the technician has just shown you guys. So if you remember, it actually came off the digitizer, but we're inserting it into the plastic midframe. Next, you're going to place your digitizer back into the frame. Next step is to remove this small piece from your old digitizer. Don't forget it. It's part of your earpiece. And if you need to apply a small piece of adhesive to make it stay, please do so. Don't forget to get this piece from your old digitizer. So you want to insert this piece into the frame at the top of your unit. And you guys will see this piece if you are working on this phone. The next step is to flip over and insert your ribbon cable. On the left side. And then you're going to insert your flex cable back into your unit. So as you guys can tell, we are reassembling everything that we have taken loose. We are now reconnecting. So again, just follow the technician and you should be okay. So once you get all of your ribbon cables connected, you want to insert your camera. Next, you want to insert your main flex cable. Next, you want to reapply your slider plate. So don't forget to run your flex cable through your slider plate. Set and align. Next, you want to reinsert your 4 Phillips screws to your slider plate. Next thing you want to do is place your keypad into your mid housing frame. And then you want to run your ribbon cable through the mid housing frame and set properly. Sliders can be some of the most challenging phones to repair. If you guys remember from our training, it is one of the 3 different styles of phones. There's the bar phone, the flip phone, and the slider phone. Next thing you want to do is insert the 4 black Phillips screws. And again, you guys can see how important screw maintenance is. This is why it's important, because you often have different size screws, different color screws, and different styles of screws. So knowing where your screws go as you place them back into your unit is very important. Next, you want to place your data board on keypad, or excuse me, you want to place your data board on keyboard mid-frame and set. All right, so your next step is you want to connect the antenna to that daughter board. Right, next thing you want to do is insert 4 Phillips screws into your keyboard mid-frame. And that's 4. You always want to check your slider to make sure the functionality of it is correct, or the mechanics. Excuse me, not the functionality, but the mechanics. You want to connect your antenna to your logic board. You You want to reconnect your 3 ribbon cables. 2 on the left, 1 on the right. Don't forget to reapply your label. Be sure to insert all of your buttons. Next, you want to insert small tab into rear housing cover. And one thing you really want to be aware of, guys, is the little small tabs, where they come from and how they fit back into your unit. And last but not least, you want to place your rear housing back onto the device and snap it shut. And now you want to go ahead and insert your remaining screws. So lastly, you want to insert your battery and test the functionality of your cellular phone. And you have just completed a Digitizer replacement on a Samsung Epic 4G. See you guys in the next video.